Matthew Cox. Matthew Large Cox. Matthew, where's my 55 million Cox? $55 million to clarify. If we are rating con artists in terms of pure aura, this is your guy. From running one of the most elaborate mortgage fraud schemes to ending up on the FBI's most wanted list, Matthew Cox has one of the most impressive crime resumes I have ever seen. The year is 1969, and in some cozy little town in Florida, out comes our protagonist. Or antagonist, I don't really know. Growing up, he didn't really excel at anything. He more so unexcelled, being placed in special ed classes. If we want to get psychoanalytical here, there's a good chance these experiences of always being inferior led him down this path of trapping and finessing. But I will say, the guy had a gift that no one else had. He's got a unique type of charm to him. One that could convince just about anybody to trust him. Now, our hero was going through a series of different jobs in his early 20s, from construction to just about anything that could give him a dollar. But nothing was actually panning out to be a career. His girlfriend at the time saw something in him though, be it charisma, looks, anything of the sort, a perfect candidate for sales.
You know, you're good at that. You're good at negotiating. You're a natural salesman.
Without much resistance, his girlfriend convinced him to join her at work in real estate, and so began his life as a mortgage broker, amongst other things in which were to come. Alright, Gretchen. Think of Matthew as gasoline, like a fucking lot of gasoline, and Gretchen as the lighter. Matthew was a mortgage broker, right? But for low credit loans. So he was running into people all the time that couldn't get approved to buy houses. Now his supervisor Gretchen thought, that's not gonna fly. We are a commission-based job. You'll get your damn loan. And get their loan they did, because as part of the job, Cox was taught to cut corners, you could say.
So I was a broker and I whited out the 30-day late. I just got rid of it. And my manager is the person that told me to do it. She said, it'll be fine. And she was right, it was.
Inflating incomes, fabricating job history, manipulating credit scores, just about anything to get them approved. This was his first dabble into tomfoolery. He had 7-2 offsuit, and he had successfully bluffed.
My fear was they were going to figure it out, and maybe I'd get fired. I didn't think I was going to go to jail because my manager assured me, you're not going to jail. Like, you'll get fired at best.
I actually don't blame him for this. I honestly understand. I'm 99% certain I would also forge a couple credit scores for like $5,000. Eventually, our birdie flew free from the nest and started his own company, Urban Equity Inc. All that credit fraud and statement manipulation ain't nothing. This wasn't even the minor leagues. This was your local Little League gathering to play on a Sunday morning. Enter Prime LeBron.
Simmons, is this the dagger?
The scam essentially worked like this. Hello, is this Social Security? Yes. I've never had a Social Security number issued. How old are you? I'm 31 years old. Nice try, little bro. Hi, my son is 7 years old and he has never had a Social Security number issued. Was he born in a hospital? Yeah? Okay, well he definitely has one. Come into our office and we'll...
10 years later.
My son was born with a midwife, not in a hospital, and the pediatrician told us that we need Social Security to issue us a Social Security number. Huh. Weird. That does happen though. Come bring your son in and we'll get him one. My son is out of the country and he's 9 months old. Alright, you pesky just mail us his birth certificate and shot record, and we'll give you your damn number. This is what it all comes down to. Manipulating the core. People. Matthew did some digging and learned how to forge a birth certificate.
Actually, they give you a blank form, and then they actually show you what it looks like filled out. Like a handwritten one filled out. So I knew if he was born this day, he got these shots. 2 months later, he got these shots. 6 months later, he got these shots. So I just filled it out.
Now he had it, a fake Social Security number. And so, a fake person. I forgot to mention, but he's on federal probation during all this. Those shenanigans he was pulling with Gretchen, they found out. Okay, so he has a fake person, but what can he do with that? Let's take that $2,000 in credit card debt that you owe and just not pay it. But won't there be repercussions? There would be if you existed, but you don't exist. You're Lee Black, a small, mixed-race American infant born 4 months ago with a midwife mom. Okay, actually, we're getting ahead of ourselves. See, the problem here is that this social security number that was just issued doesn't have a credit history. And with no credit history, you can't take out loans. What Matthew would do is apply for credit cards with this new fabricated identity and get denied. But they would offer him a secure credit card for a couple $100. A credit building card, if you will. Make a couple payments and boom. Now anyone can pull the credit and see an actual credit profile. To the outside eye, this looks completely legit.
And then once you start making the payments, I pulled the credit. And a credit profile shows up saying that this 31-year-old man with the social security number that I know was issued, a couple months ago, has three credit cards. They don't even say secured. They just say, there's like, this credit card is $500. It was issued by Bank of America.
Social security number, check. Credit history, check. Fraud, half check. We have all the ingredients to cook, but the broth isn't boiling. How do we make money from this? You have two options here. The first is running up a bunch of cards and then not paying them off. A cool $5,000. Maybe get a couple more personal loans for like $6,000 and you're good. Yeah, fuck that. I did not just learn how to fake a social security number and forge a birth certificate for $20,000. Jordan Belfort is scoffing right now. Remember how I told you Matthew runs a mortgage broking company? He's an insider, a man with connections, a man who could leverage credit profiles against properties. And with that ability, you're now talking a couple $1,000,000 per synthetic identity. Yeah, at this point, this is an empire of identities forming. Every ID he is making, he names after characters in the movie Reservoir Dogs. I swear to God. Ybor City, Young Boy City, Florida JIT. Matthew began his journey as a real estate mogul and started buying up houses in Ybor City, arguably one of the most terrible zip codes in Florida. Originally, he planned on taking mortgages out for homes in the area, which costed in the ballpark of like 50 grand. And then he planned on flipping them, spending around 25K on renovations and making the house appreciate north of 50 grand. If one more fucking plane flies over this area, a nice 25 grand in profit. Or he could sell them to the synthetic identities. Now, you don't need to dump 25 grand into renovating the property. You can claim you bedazzled it up and sell the property for 200 grand to Mr. Mike Hawk. But won't the bank appraiser get suspicious if the price goes up that much and the property doesn't look any different? Right, but bro in the office isn't actually going to the house. He just drives by and looks at it. Mow the grass, trim the bushes, fix the f***ing broken windows in this shithole, and you're good. Cox now had his house bought at 50 grand and sold at 200 grand in a matter of months. Rinse and repeat this for this entire neighborhood, and you end up with the Forbes top 10 fastest appreciating zip codes in America. At this point, Cox was in so deep, these fake people didn't even need to show up to the house closings. He'd just tell the lender that Lee Black was hours away, and he'd deliver the documents for them to sign and bring it back by the end of the day. He was so trustworthy that the lenders would literally thank him for such a kind act.
Take the file and I'll have him sign all the documents at his work and I'll bring them back. He's like an hour and a half away from here. I'll be back in 2 or 3 hours. They're like, oh, wow, man, Matt, thank you so much.
You can think of this elaborate scheme as like a spider web, and with each step being made, more of a web being wove. Is that the right term? With enough time, this web grew massive. It wasn't just Matthew. In fact, it wasn't even just Matthew and his employees. When all was said and done, everyone who he had to pull strings with was well aware of this scam, but they just made too much money to care about it. Eventually, Matthew's synthetic identities would start to default on their loans, which led to the bank sniffing around. And to add to the list of his ingenious solutions, Matthew had started to fake the deaths of these people, making them not liable to pay off their mortgage.
What I would do is I would take my borrower's name, I would go online and I would find, or go in the newspaper and I would find an article about, let's say, like a 12-car pileup. So there's a huge accident on I-4. It's very dangerous. So there's a 12-car pileup, and someone in the accident was life flighted to Tampa General Hospital. I would cut and paste that article, and I would just insert my borrower's name into the article saying that, Brandon Green was life flighted to Tampa General Hospital, is currently in critical condition. I would then print that article out on newsprint. I'd then make a copy of cut it up, make a copy of the newsprint, highlight his name, and I would write a letter from Brandon Green's fictional sister to the collection companies saying, several months ago, my brother was in a horrible car accident. He is currently, they've got the article, they have the highlighted name. He clearly was in this accident.
Green FN. Somehow, somewhere, some lady at a title company got suspicious. Word got around that the James Red that was coming in to sign for a loan doesn't exist. I wonder what made her think that. So our girl Mary calls up Cox and tells him she won't close the next loan unless James Red shows up. And so came another one of Cox's patented plays, the Ingenious solution. This sounds like a Pokemon move. Or, you know what, I'm not even gonna say that. Along the way, Cox had learned how to make fake identities, but he needed pictures for those identities. Where would he get those pictures? Hillsborough County arrest website. And there, he found a man he knew named Eric Tamargo, the perfect victim. So he prints out the mugshot and throws it on the ID for James Red. Next step, call up Eric and see if he'll go in and actually sign on the loan.
And I remember one of my buddies like, he's never gonna do this. And I was like, I think he will. I think he will.
Are we seeing how improvised this is? This is not organized crime. This is unorganized crime. The company Eric was working for actually had done work for Cox a few times, doing bits and pieces of renovations around the porches of his properties. You could say they were acquaintances. Fast forward a day, and now Eric is in Matthew's office, and bro just lays out the entire scam on him. You know the houses you worked on? Yeah, thanks for helping me steal 200 grand from the bank. What, bro? You're a genius. Eric, you fucking idiot. Do you think I just invited you here to confess my crimes?
And I need someone to show up as James Red. And he goes, wow. He goes, who are you going to get to do that? And I was just thinking, just like, you're not understanding. I'm not confiding in you because I need a friend.
So after some convincing, Matthew walks into the mortgage office and Mary tells him, I don't know why you're here. I'm not closing the loan unless James Red shows up. Like a moth to a flame, Eric stands right up and goes, I'm James Red. And just like that, the loan got signed. Next week, another closing for James Red. Boom, Eric signs for it again. Problem solved. In the year 2003, the FBI caught on and made an arrest warrant for our glorious king. He was a fighter though, and he was able to go on the run for 3 years before he got caught. Respectable. Matthew Cox is a tale of glory, greed, and gluttony. He flew too close to the sun, but at least he flew. That's it, that's the video. But one more thing before I wish you farewell. I ask that you leave a comment. That's all, that's fucking it, that's it. What you like, what you didn't like, what you f***ing hated about it. I don't care. Just leave a comment. And with that being said, thanks for watching.